G'day y'all. We've got some more Middle Eastern fragrances. There are a few that kind of slid under my radar for a little bit. I had unboxed them when I got that big care package from my mom, so I want to touch on some of those. I also have a couple of new Middle Eastern fragrances. One of them I have not opened yet, so it will be a first impression. So we've got a couple of comparisons and a first impression. Okay, you don't want to miss this. You don't want to skip. So the first one that slipped kind of under my radar is Lovely Chèrie by Maison Alhambra. I do have a decant of this one. Now I do have a lot of Maison Alhambra's Tom Ford dupes. I've been impressed with almost all of them. I'm hoping that this is not an exception. Now Lovely Chèrie is known to be a dupe for Lost Cherry by Tom Ford. In Lovely Chèrie you have bitter almond and rose in the top, and in the heart you got two cherries. You got cherry and black cherry and amber. In the dry down you've got tonka bean, toffee, and Peru balsam. In Lost Cherry, you've got a little bit of a more complex note profile. Lost Cherry has cherry liqueur at the top. It has some plum, so it has some different fruit in there. It's got jasmine. It's also got more woody and warm base notes. So you've got, you know, sandalwood and cedar. You've got cloves and benzoin. So you've got some more grounding notes in Tom Ford's version. Just based on notes, I would expect Tom Ford's version to smell a lot more complex, although that doesn't necessarily mean it's better. I try not to equate simplicity with poor quality because something can smell simple but still smell really good. Just depends on how it's done, right? I think this time I'm gonna smell Lost Cherry first. Just drop the decant. Okay, I definitely get that booziness in Lost Cherry, that cherry liqueur. It's like that really warm, boozy bitterness. Smells delightful. I love it. I'm getting a little bit more of the spiciness now. I pick up that cinnamon a lot more, a hint of clove, just a hint. But the cherry notes in here are very beautiful, very bitter and beautiful. Okay, I don't want to harp on that one too much. I want to smell Lovely Chèrie, and then we'll go over differences that I smell. Okay. I'm pretty damn impressed. Okay, hold on. I would say Lovely Chèrie is maybe just ever so slightly it leans almost cough medicine-esque, ever so slightly. I think maybe it's a little bit of added sweetness. I feel like that's what makes something smell medicine, like it's synthetic cherry, but added sweetness to make up for its bitterness. Although that fades pretty quickly. And then I get something very balsamic. I feel like all of the notes aren't listed here because I do get something kind of spicy. It could actually be the tonka bean, but I'm smelling something more aromatic than what the notes claim. Wow, actually incredibly impressed by this one. They both have booziness. I actually wasn't expecting that based on the notes in Lovely Chèrie, again, assuming these are accurate. It still has that like spicy booziness going on. I actually want to smell, I just threw this in for good measure, Kayali Lovefest Burning Cherry. This is actually also one that was sent to me from my mom because she was not a fan. So she was like, hey, do you want to try it? And I was like, sure. So I think this one's been chilling for a while here. In Burning Cherry, some more sweet notes. So you've got raspberry in the top. You've got praline. In the base, you also have Palo Santo, which can be a pretty distinct note depending on how heavy it's used in here. I'm just curious as to how it smells next to these. Oh yeah, no, not really similar. The Palo Santo I think it's too distinct. It does quite set it apart from Lovely Chèrie and Lost Cherry. It's a bit lighter. The cherry is definitely not as heavy. There is a lighter sweetness to it. Like I said, that Palo Santo is just too distinct. It really sets it apart from these other fragrances. I don't love the cherry as much in this one. The cherry's just not as heavy, I think. Yeah, I think it's just a lot heavier of a wood in there. It's honestly the first thing I smell when I smell Lovefest is that Palo Santo. But listen, I'm a fan of Palo Santo. I really like Palo Santo. I know not everyone is. It's also part of the reason why I really love Vintage Radio by Lattafa. That's actually a dupe of Initio's Paragon. Really heavy Palo Santo note with plum. Beautiful combination. Listen, I think this is pretty good. Lovely Chèrie. I like this one. I'd be curious to see how long it lasts versus Lost Cherry. If you guys are interested in a dedicated video where I wear both of these and do like a head-to-head comparison, definitely let me know. I might just do one anyway, but just based on first impression, just spraying them on a tester, obviously that doesn't give the whole story, as we know. They're pretty damn similar. And I think certain nuances, when worn on the skin and you're walking by someone, you're not really gonna pick up minute differences unless you're smelling it up close. Just keep that in mind. Perhaps I will do a dedicated video comparing these two. The next dupe that I have is Infini Rose by Maison Maison Alhambra. Infini Rose has actually been on my radar for a long time, just never got around to purchasing it. These, for some reason, the Infini line by Maison Alhambra over here can be a little bit more pricey than something like Bade'e Oud, for example, especially now. Oh my god, everything's gone up like so crazy now. So in Infini Rose, you have pink pepper and hedione in the top. You've got two kinds of rose and jasmine in the heart, and you've got amber and vanilla in the dry down. Now, contrasting that with Atomic Rose, really the only difference is the hedione at the top. How much of a difference that makes throughout the wear of a fragrance? I don't know, maybe I should do a comparison on this too. All right, first I'm gonna smell Atomic Rose. Atomic Rose is such a good name for this because it is like a rose bomb, but it's very beautiful. It's actually a very light and bright rose. I think the pink pepper really helps with that. So if you contrast it with something like Bade'e Oud Amethyst, I think I've said this before, but Bade'e Oud Amethyst, obviously you have that oud in there. Actually, I have it here. With the added oud in Bade'e Oud Amethyst, you're just getting a different experience. It's a lot heavier, smokier, deeper. I've said this before, but it's not really a dupe for Atomic Rose by Initio. You've got like a crisper, brighter rose in Atomic Rose. Now for Infini Rose, let's see how this compares. Okay. I don't know what that reaction is. It's actually a bit more powdery. I think the addition of the hedione kind of softens the rose a bit. It feels sweeter. It actually feels sweeter than Atomic Rose. Atomic Rose is definitely still a crisper, clearer, even a slightly more citrusy rose, where Infini Rose is maybe, it's a little more blended in with the other notes. I think the hedione is probably a big contributor to that. It's also just the slightest, teensiest, weensiest bit sharp on my nose. Such a small difference, but it's just, it still doesn't get that clear, crisp rose that Atomic Rose has. Listen, we're comparing two completely different price ranges here. I think if worn on the skin, they'd both be very beautiful and still very similar if you were just a layman walking by and getting a waft of these fragrances. They're both really beautiful. The hedione does add something a little bit different to Infini Rose, granted, but I think still very beautiful. Way closer dupe to Atomic Rose than Bade'e Oud Amethyst. I wouldn't hope that people are buying Bade'e Oud Amethyst thinking that you're getting something like Atomic Rose, because with that added oud, you're just getting a different experience. Very beautiful. I would actually say Infini Rose is maybe a little bit softer. It actually feels slightly warmer, slightly softer than Atomic Rose. Atomic Rose is just such a bright, clear, crisp rose. It's, you know, really puckers you up. You know what I mean? Really beautiful. I am very impressed with Infini Rose. Again, I think one that I'll probably end up doing a head-to-head with both of these fragrances, a head-to-head video. Depending on which ones you guys want more, I'll probably expedite one of these comparisons. Last week, I actually did a very small order. You guys have been asking me to get Rave Now for Women by Lattafa. I did manage to find a bottle that wasn't price gougingly expensive, so I did pick it up, and then in order to get free shipping, of course, you can't pay for shipping ever, guys. To girl math, I paid for a little Rehab perfume oil to get free shipping. It actually wasn't even on Fragrantica, this one, I don't think. I just had a look over the notes and I was like, you know what? It looks okay. It's got a laundry list of notes here. This is Blue Rose by Rehab. This is the 6 ml rollerball perfume oil. So you've got a laundry list of notes in here. You've got orange, black currant, you've got violet and neroli in the top. In the heart, you've got iris, you've got raspberry as well. You've got a lot of fruit in here. Jasmine, lily of the valley, hyacinth. You've got lots of florals in the base. You've got amber, oak moss, neroli, lang lang again. So a good combination of different florals. You've got a lot of sweet fruit notes. I've already smelled this one, so it's not a first impression, but okay, first of all, it is so strong. It's a perfume oil, so that's to be expected. Holy moly. Really what I get out of this is heavy black currant and raspberry, jasmine. I do smell the rose, but it's definitely not the forefront. I definitely get a heavy sweet jasmine in here. Heavy lily of the valley as well. Some of the base notes in here, you've got the oak moss, the amber is very warm, cedar, lang. I think the lang lang is also very heavy. You guys know that I love lang lang. It just adds such a dense, heavy, lush dry down. But to be honest, this thing, you guys, if you want like a really lush, sweet, Lang Lang and Jasmine perfume oil. This one, so cheap. This is probably something that I would put on and get some of your more mainstream fruity white florals. I'm talking your My Ways, your Lantardes, your Donna Born and Romas, your Prada Paradox, whatever. I would layer it on top of this. It's just so lush. I will say, I'm not going to give it like a 10 out of 10. There is something in there that is a little pungent, as if there was musk. My theory is it's the raspberry, because the raspberry in here I feel like is pretty heavy, and cheap raspberry notes. You guys know how I feel about raspberry when it's in a cheap fragrance. I feel like it can come across just sharp and synthetic. It might be what's in here coming across a bit sharp, but as a layering tool, absolutely gorgeous. Lush, fruity, heavy jasmine and Lang Lang perfume oil. Blue Rose by Rehab. Gosh, I think I got it for like 10 bucks. Australian, of course. Totally worth it. I can't wait to experiment with this one and let you guys know what I think. In fact, obviously the point of that shop was to pick up Rave Now for women, and who knows, maybe this will go well on top. Now, this is famously an alleged dupe for Burberry Her Elixir. Unfortunately, I don't have juice of Burberry Her Elixir. I don't know why, actually. I probably should have some juice of that because I do really like that fragrance. So in here you've got red fruits and orange at the top. In the heart you've got marshmallow, jasmine, lily of the valley, and in the dry down you've got vanilla, musk, and moss. I mean, what's not to love in there? You've got a nice lush moss in the base. You've got some nice beautiful fruits, a fluffy white floral in the heart. I mean, now I have taken off the plastic because I got a little ahead of myself, but I was like, nope, I'm gonna smell it on camera. That looks a bit concerning. Which it doesn't look damaged. Okay, we have intact juice. That's good news. Okay, very beautiful. I have another Rave fragrance, very similar with the rubber bit on the outside. Okay, I want to smell this. Oh, for some reason I was expecting something a bit denser, but it's actually still quite light. I think the one thing that I immediately, and listen, it's been a long time since I've smelled Burberry Her, so take this with a grain of salt. It's actually not quite as sweet as I was expecting. Keep in mind, guys, this is a new bottle. Actually, the package date on here was March 2024. So not only is it a pretty new bottle, but I've also just opened it. The only thing that I could see maybe potentially being a problem is maybe the musk. The musk is a little heavy in here. Right now, it's not a super heavy fruit from what I can smell. It is very heavy on the florals. On the Lily of the Valley specifically, that's kind of what I get very heavily. I don't feel like I'm loving it as much as Burberry Her Elixir. But listen, I've just opened this one. I'm excited to see how this one changes. I might even decant this one so I can get the juice to age a bit quicker in a smaller container, just because I'm really curious to see how this one will change. I feel like I could really grow to like this. I think it just needs some time, perhaps. It's a little sharp. The Lily of the Valley is a little sharp in there. Just a tiny bit pungent. I feel like it needs to, I think it needs, maybe just needs some time. I do like it. I'm not blown away just off the initial spray, but I'll have to give you guys an update on this one. I'll test it throughout the month, of course, and we'll let her sit and I'll give you guys a proper update in like a month or two. Actually, why don't we do this? I'm gonna layer Blue Rose because I think I wanted to do this. Maybe this will give us that heaviness that I've been wanting. So I'm gonna put on Blue Rose, this on top. Maybe too much Blue Rose, hey? I don't know if I love that combination. I feel like these two together actually ends up smelling more powdery somehow. God, that Lily of the Valley is just so strong, you guys. Just beware if you don't love the smell of Lily of the Valley. It can often be associated with like laundry softener or laundry detergent, like really strong Lily of the Valley. So just be aware of that, okay? But do love Blue Rose. All right. We'll have to give updated thoughts at a later date. Also, for those of you in Australia, I will be adding this one to my Decant shop if you guys want to try it. I'm gonna wait to add it until next week. I do have Lattafa Eclair on the way. Okay, it's on the way. It should be here hopefully by early next week. So once I get it and open it and smell it on camera, I'll add it to my Decant shop and I'll add this one along with it, and I'll probably throw in some other masculine fragrances if you guys are interested in those. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you will see me in the next one.